I am Mary Hodson, president of the Chamber of Commerce here in Hutchinson, Minnesota, and we are hosting 200 people from all over the state at the TigerPath conference. This is a workforce solution conference where people come together and learn about TigerPath because, of course, we're cool that way, but also other schools that are also doing similar but different programs. So we're going to take you on a little tour of what this looks like throughout the school, talk to some people who are geniuses in their industry and what they do, and take you on a little ride. So join us.
All of the rooms over here, you're going to find signs, so like Milliburn, Warrior, Hutchinson Iron and Metal. These are our business community partners, Ag Systems. The signs are like saying, yep, these people support our school, but it's also, hey, this is a place I can work. This is something I can look into and maybe find a job. These two rooms right here, we have the AutoCAD room, and then this is our machine tooling. It also houses the electrics and electricity. And the kids on this side, they're drafting, they're on the computers. Again, this area too is our robotics area, TigerPath 2509. We also do work with different businesses. I know we do a lot of work for Stamp and Storage. They are another one of our community partners with the laser. You'll see the laser cutters in there.
Like Tiger Manufacturing, we've done things for like cutting boards, Adirondack chairs. We did a lot of stuff last year. We made a lot of stuff and we sold it. We have a display case out there that we had them in. It was to get kids to learn the manufacturing process and make a little bit of money doing it. So we're selling products, making and selling products.
This is one of my favorite rooms. I have safety glasses in my office so I can come in here more often. If you notice the big garage there, and it's hard to tell right now, but this is actually going to be next year's tiny home right here. So we have the trailer, cabinets are already coming in. Some of these other projects, the Woodworking 3 classes are working on the cabinets right now.
In your busy day, in your busy schedule, we're here with Jen Gillespie, who is the principal of Hutchinson High School. She is a gem of a human, and we love having her here in the building and working with her. And I just wanted to pull you aside for just a second. We have 200 some people from all over the state here in your building, right? I know you're going to say it's the school district, but Jen, it's your building. You're the queen of it, because that's how I look at it, right? But what does it mean to you as an administrator? I know there's people who do the things, right? But you're the figurehead of the building and of the organization. What does it mean to you when you talk about TigerPath and what that means for students?
I'm not sure about the Queen, Mary, but thank you. So I guess when I think of TigerPath, I get really excited about it. I get excited because I think it's something for everyone in our school. And we do, I think, a really nice job with all the leaders within this. Andrea Moore, our TigerPath coordinator, does an amazing job. And I think I'm pretty excited about with the community. And of course, Mary, if it wasn't for you getting all of the chamber businesses, everybody on board with TigerPath, it's great. But for our kids in general, I think it's just really great that we're able to provide so many things for the kids. It doesn't matter what their pathway is, whether it's one of our 4 pathways, and if it's an area within whether they wanted to go straight to the workforce, whether they're doing 2-year, 4-year certification, we provide everything for the kids here. I'm really proud of that. Every single curricular area we have has a large number of electives, and again, the electives can lead to straight to the job force, or it can lead to a 4-year college. So I guess I think we cover the gamut of everything with TigerPath, and so I love it.
So, and that's, I mean, you just synopsized everything that I think about. Like, we just cover everything for the kids, no matter what their interests are. For you as the administrator, and you watch kids go through these experiences, what does that mean for you?
I think that whenever people talk about TigerPath, they probably jump right to the CTE area. It is. It's one of our probably our most publicized area, but we have a lot of other things going on, and it's the excitement. For one example, we in our business course we have business marketing and sports marketing, and one of our teachers, Mr. Peterson, worked with our with the Polar Plunge and being able to market, and working with our Unified Club and our Special Olympics, and that was a huge hands-on, real-world experience with the marketing piece. So, like, we have other areas that and kids get excited about it. With our the Special Olympics and the Polar Plunge, the kids then get the experience also of running a pep fest and getting the speaking. So as Mary knows, I'm not a person who likes to be in front of the camera, and if you actually come to any Pep Fest, you will not see me or the assistant principal leading. We have everything student-led, and it's because of these opportunities. It doesn't even matter what area they're in. Earlier today, I gave a tour, and it took me a little bit to realize I had a former student. He should have been leading the tour. This was his area, and so that's just fun to see kids come back and be. And he jumped right in when I did ask him to do that, and so it's just fun to see that side of things.
Awesome, thank you. We're going to let you get back to the conference, and as you can see, a TigerPath just obviously just kind of it fills those gaps of opportunity. We talk about how we'd like to have it back in the day, so we could have explored different things. Maybe I would be in a different place. Maybe other people would be too. And maybe we wouldn't have spent quite as much money waiting for it. So thank you so much.
So, we are going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about unemployment, and we're going to talk about labor force. These are two different things. This is the job vacancy rate across the 6 regions. So the higher the percentage, the harder it is to fill those positions. We consider 3%, between 3-4% to be relatively healthy. You can see super high, right? So Northeast, almost 10% job vacancy rate by 2021. I'm still waiting for the 2022 data. 8.8% Southeast. The 7 county metro is actually lowest at 7.8%. They've actually been relatively low job vacancy rate going because they have enough population coming in and they haven't seen demographic changes that rural areas have seen. But these are insane numbers. When I was going to high school, there wasn't a lot of engagement with my local community at all in terms of the opportunities available. And that's really started to change. Influencers, college admissions. Is there anybody in college admissions here? Okay, good. So I can say this. College admissions are salespeople. And the main selling point, particularly for four-year universities, was saying, for your kid to be successful, they need to leave this town. And then there's the observations. What are the students observing as far as their local career opportunities? And how are we engaging them in the community of saying, hey, we value you here. We want you to be here. I never was really told that when I was going to high school. So when we were doing this work, we kind of went out and we interviewed all the economic development groups because they've been really focused on like, oh yeah, we got all these local jobs to try and keep our kids, right? And they're like, well, we had a regional job fair. Why didn't it work, right? It's not enough because the students probably went to that regional job fair and the research is really clear. They got excited for about 3 hours and then got home and talked to their mom and dad, or they watched TV, or they went online and saw all these other reasons why they need to go somewhere else. There are a lot of other influences happening. So apprenticeships, internships, career, CTE instruction, all of these things are necessary for a single student to get their perceptions of the local opportunities to change.
I am here with Kelly Ash, who just did a presentation, really good presentation, might I add, talking about how our students see education and how we as adults in different sectors affect their future. When you are working with entities, organizations, kids, what sticks out to you the most about what we need to do for the future of our workforce?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is we have an ongoing narrative that I feel like we've had since probably the 60s or 70s, right? Like this idea that our kids need to leave our communities, our rural communities, where there's supposedly less opportunities and less career growth for them compared to metro areas. And all of our major four-year universities that we've been pushing them to go to are in metropolitan areas. And so that's where the workforce growth is occurring. And I think since, the 2000s, and especially since the Great Recession, we're seeing a total change, both in terms of the demographic change and the workforce that's needed to fill job vacancies in our rural areas, but as well as economic growth. And it's one thing I didn't speak to this morning is that we continue to have economic growth in our rural areas. This isn't just a demographic issue. We're seeing job growth due to the economy doing well, good entrepreneurship in our rural areas, and a huge need to keep some of our kids in our rural areas and do a better job at explaining to them that these are great opportunities. These aren't the typical kind of old school, dirty welding jobs or whatever that maybe we're used to seeing. A lot of times rural areas get, they'll pull up a picture of like an old coal mine and be like, these are the jobs available in a rural area, even though we've never had that in Minnesota, right? So I think that is the major change, and we're starting to see that quite a bit in our high schools in particular, of trying to get our kids to see not only the job opportunities, but also exploring these careers that are more local, exploring the ways and the types of education that are necessary for these occupations, and that there's just so many more options now. You don't need to go to a four-year college and get into huge amounts of debt to go to a job that isn't where you want to be because that's where the job might be available. You can do that right in your local area, not get into debt, and get a really great paying jobs and feel really good about what you're doing. So that's the shift that's happening, and I think we're going to continue to see that in the future. But it really is a kind of, what do you want to call it, like full attack on making sure it's in front of these kids every day, every minute, because there's so many other outside influences that are still promoting this old narrative.
So I'm going to ask you another question then. And as we continue kind of that paradigm shift, right, what's the most exciting piece of that for you?
I mean, it's so funny. Like, I always draw upon my own education experience, right, in high school. And I went in the 90s when it was like a full-on assault of getting rid of like career and technical education. We didn't really have shop at all. Home economics was taken away. Like, it was really just like, we're going to put you in a pathway to get into a four-year college, maybe a two-year college. But, it was a very rigid academic type structure. And I look at some of the opportunities now, and I get excited because I kind of think about like, well, if I, let's say, had Pro Start, which is that culinary arts program in the Brainerd area, if that was in my school, because I really like food now, I'm really into it, and it took me a while. I wasn't introduced to it until later in my life. What if I maybe changed the way I'm in? And it's just it's exciting for me to see like all the opportunities that students have, that it's not just you either go to college or you're not going to college and you're the local guy or girl or whatever, right? It's like totally changing that whole thing. And I think there's so much opportunity for our rural regions to take advantage of this unique opportunity that they haven't had, I would say, over the past 40 or 50 years, to really start keeping more kids here, to have this vibrancy and vitality of the local economy and employers engagement and high school kids sticking around. That's exciting, and that's what gets me going.
So the last thing I have for you is, I've had a handful of careers, right? I do not practice what I went to technical school for a couple years ago. We're going to leave it at that. So many people do change careers. Really, we're asking kids to start understanding what they want to be for their first. Because not everybody's going to stick to, if you're going to be a doctor, likely you're going to stay a doctor. We know that even teachers don't stay teachers, or people become teachers later in life. And so how do you see that, or how does that conversation come up when we're talking with kids, or even educators or those people influencing kids in their future discussions?
Yeah, I would say, employers in particular are really starting to understand the grayness of, I would say, even licensure, but also skills training. What types of skills? I think now that we are in a people scarcity, not a job scarcity idea, employers are like, I was kind of making fun of it, but it's like, hey, your blood pumps, you're a warm body.
we'll train you on the job. And I think employers are starting to recognize that we can do on-the-job training, but we would also like them to have some of those soft skills to make the on-the-job training a little easier. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, you're fully experienced and trained on the certain production of a certain widget or whatever. But if you can type and you're a good reader and you have, a certain level of logic, it's much easier to train you. And so, again, it kind of goes, and Luke kind of spoke to this too. It's like we're all involved. The English teachers, the science teachers, they all need to be involved in understanding, like, we're not just teaching an English major. We are teaching them English so that it transfers to all the other ways to make life a little bit easier for them and the employer and to the local community as a whole. So that's kind of the conversations we're starting to see happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you just tell us a little bit about what led you to your career pathway that you're currently in?
Hutchinson High School collaborated with Ridgewater College back in, I think it was either my 8th grade or my 9th grade, and they took us to Ridgewater where they showed all the different careers that they did there, from healthcare to tech and STEM to your literature. Like, it had a whole bunch of different things. I found myself in the machining bay first and the welding bay second. Ever since then, I fell in love with it. I ended up taking all 4 years of the welding classes that we have here at the high school, and then I took machine tool 1 and 2 as well. And then Mrs. Moore, she was the one that really was the push and had the connection for me through TigerPath to be able to get into my job and career with RATH.
Well, at first, before my senior year, I didn't think I was going to go to college at all. I thought I was just going to get a 9-to-5 job somewhere. But then coming into senior year, I was taking a World of Work class, and I had taken some machine tool classes at the high school already. I took a World of Work class and I got an internship through Mickey, and then that's when I kind of said, this is what I want to do. And so that's kind of how I picked it, and when it came to coming to college, I had no hesitation that I wanted to go in the CNC program, and that's what I wanted to do. So.
Yeah, I feel a lot more confident I want to major in nursing, and being able to go out and internship at the hospital has really helped me be more confident in my decision and reduce my chance of wanting to switch it in college last minute and have to make sure I get all my classes in for another major.
All right, I am now here with Missy Myers from Southwest Initiative Foundation, which we refer to as SWIFT, and you are the Talent and Operations Director. Is that right? Something like that?
Yes.
So you get the people.
I get the people. Yeah.
So you're here representing SWIFT today, Southwest Initiative Foundation. Why is it important for SWIFT to be here, part of, you're putting resources, not just people, but resources into this event. Why is that important to you as an initiative foundation?
Right. So bottom line, SWIFT is invested in our future of the workforce, and that future is our kids. So speaking of the 18 counties that we serve, it's important that we tap in and make sure we're hitting all of those areas to bring them the information at hand and the resources that are out there for them.
Yeah, so you're literally, because you do represent 18 counties, and I think that's really interesting. Some people in Hutchinson might think that you're just in Hutchinson because of the big building on the corner, right? Right, but you're representing that. So let's just talk a little bit about SWIFT and that work that you're doing. What else is happening?
So I think to start with, we are heavily involved with all the EDAs. We're also involved with the chambers. We have many of our staff that are dispersed out in the communities, that live in those communities. So not only do they work in those communities, they live in those communities. So they help embed themselves into what's going on within each community themselves. So that's on a personal level probably for all of our staff. As you mentioned, being highly involved in a workforce, being highly involved in early child care is extremely important, and also that growing that K through 12.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all that you guys have been doing to support this program and for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
trying to get you is an inverted triangle. Think of it as an inverted triangle for a second. If you're thinking about working with students, the top level of that triangle is, I'm going to go in and talk to the classroom, and I'm going to talk to everybody that's inside of that classroom. Let's say it's 100 kids. Well, after that, as the triangle gets smaller, it might be 25 kids that want to come and take a tour of your business to find out more about that. And as it moves even smaller after that, it's 2, 3 kids that maybe you're going to do internships, mentorships, like that. You're moving them down that triangle by information, showing more about you, and then giving them the information they need. And then guess what? You have an employee as we move forward.
All right, I'm here with Miles Seppelt, who is the Hutchinson EDA Economic Development Authority Director here in Hutchinson. Thanks for taking a little bit of time because you're busy like the rest of us today. I have one question for you. Why is this conference in particular so important to your work, and why are you here?
Well, this is important because the number one economic development issue out there is shortage of workforce, and particularly skilled workforce. That's the number one issue, and this is one that is going to be the main issue for at least the next decade. So this is a huge problem, and TigerPath is the answer. That's why I'm here.
And I'm just going to say, even if somebody's not copying TigerPath exactly, because every school looks different, this is an opportunity to get ideas that could be scalable or lead to another idea, right?
Correct. Yep. I mean, that's all about just finding out what successful people are doing, and we copy as appropriate to our individual communities.
Thank you so much. Okay, go back to work.
Okay.
So CTE, getting back to that. Why this is really important to even understand the foundation of your economy, it's because you need to have programming that actually aligns with what you need, okay? If we're going to try to create better outcomes for students, we need to be preparing them for the skills that we need in their community. And you can't do that if you don't even know what your community looks like in terms of just basic economic understanding. So instead of promoting them to get the heck out of Dodge, maybe we should be showing them all that we have to offer, okay? And being successful doesn't necessarily mean, particularly if you're an under-resourced student, leaving the little social fabric and network that you have and going to some other place, getting the same type of job, earning the same amount of money, but now not having any friends or any safety net because you don't have a network, right? Those students that are under-resourced, this becomes even more problematic if we tell them to leave our town if we want to be successful. I don't think that's real great advice. So CTE helps that. A lot of this is because of the way CTE courses are structured and what they can offer. You're helping students connect with local employers. Think about the value of that. The value to know an employer who can pay you, who can give you a living wage. Now you know somebody. Think about the students whose parents are maybe, they're not showing up to parent-teacher conferences, they're not involved, but because they're maybe working 2 jobs, and they don't know the county commissioners, they don't know the mayors, they don't know the movers and shakers. Now we're taking students like that and connecting them with the movers and shakers in your community. That's powerful stuff. In all those times in between actually having a meaningful job, getting meaningful wages, that's basically labor lost. Think of getting a student into a meaningful job a quarter, or let's say 6 months earlier, because they had good exploration and they have skills to show up at the doorstep. Now, extrapolate that by the thousands of students in our region. That helps ease some of this. It's not going to fix it, don't get me wrong, but it's helpful. It's helpful for both the student and our employers and our economy, like tax base, all that stuff.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe what a day we have had. I'm so glad that you joined us just to get a snippet of some of the things that are happening at the TigerPath 3.0 conference. It's been an amazing day. People are now heading over to our reception, a networking reception that we have in town. But 200 people, and the things that we've been hearing from people all day have been just astounding. They're so grateful for the opportunity. And how this happened is SWIFT actually covered the costs of the things that had to happen to bring this many people together. So 200 people were able to attend great sessions of learning, interaction for free, thanks to the Southwest Initiative Foundation. Other people, of course, the Chamber and Hutchinson EDA and also Achieve also were part of this organizational conference. So we want to give those people a shout out as well. I thank you for joining us. And if you have more questions about TigerPath, you give us a call at the Chamber. We'll hook you up with anybody that you need to talk to. I hope you have a great month, and we will see you again.